Since the year 2000, the Waco ISD Education Foundation has awarded the Dorothy Crippen Hurd Scholarship to graduating seniors at Waco High School. This memorial scholarship has been made possible over the years thanks to an endowment created with a generous donation by Dorothy's husband, Norman Clayton Hurd, who passed away in 2002. The 2015 recipient of the Dorothy Crippen Hurd Scholarship is joining me now. His name is Antonio Najera, and congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Antonio is not only the Dorothy Crippen Hurd Scholarship winner, but he's also the valedictorian of the class of 2015 here at Waco High School. Talk about that honor. I mean, that it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. I mean, of course, being valedictorian, it's a huge honor for me here. I mean, ever since I was little, it's something I've always wanted to be. My parents pushed me to try and do my best, and what better place to do my best than as number one.
Great. Of course, you can go up and down in ranking as your years go by from freshman to senior. Had you been watching that closely?
Yeah. When I started as a freshman, I was actually at I was number 7, and I mean, I was a little disappointed. I guess I don't know, I just slacked off a little bit, to be honest with you. But after that, I decided to give it my all, and every year since that, I kept a close tab on it, and I moved up from 7 to 4 to 2, and then finally to 1.
You better believe it, it paid off too. Not that 7's that bad. 7's pretty good. I'd love to be number 7 in a class of like you graduated with. Talk a little bit about your years at Waco ISD. I understand that you have been, what, a 12-year or 13-year Waco ISD student. Where did you go to elementary?
I went to elementary at Parkdale. I lived like down the street from there. It's just a walk away.
Okay, Parkdale Elementary. Let's take a look back. What do you remember most about Parkdale, and perhaps who was your favorite teacher in elementary school?
I'd have to say my favorite teacher was my 4th grade teacher, Miss Gifford. She always, back when I was a kid, I kind of had some confidence issues, and she's the one who kind of pushed me to do my best and told me that it's not just okay to be smart and to try your best, it's actually encouraged. And she's actually followed me here to Waco High. She's now an administrator here.
She is an assistant principal, I believe. After Parkdale, then you went to, I assume, Tennyson, right next door.
Yes, sir.
Again, same question. Talk about your years at Tennyson a little bit, and maybe some of the teachers that stand out there.
In Tennyson, that's when I first started like pre-AP, and that's when I got the really intense teachers. Like I remember Miss Duty, she was a really good teacher that I had, and there's a reason my favorite subject is history now. She was probably one of the best history teachers I had. And then I liked Coach Ramsdale, English. He was a pretty good teacher, and Coach Miller, science. Can't forget that class.
Now, you mentioned pre-AP at Tennyson, and then, of course, followed that up with AP courses here at Waco High School. But I'm going to read the qualifications in order to even be on the list to get the Dorothy Crippen Hurd Scholarship really quickly. First of all, you got to be in the top 5% of your class. You're certainly that. You have to have an SAT score of at least 1,800 or an ACT minimum of 27. Then you have to have taken a full preparatory program in the Advanced Academic Studies, which you did. And of course, must have attended Waco High School in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grades at least. You were here all 4 years. Talk a little bit about making that transition then from Tennyson to Waco High. And you mentioned slacking off that freshman year, and I think that's a common occurrence. But if you can look back at the maturity that you've been able to gain in the last 4 years, and begin with that freshman year.
Well, when I started here, I transitioned with a couple of my friends, and they weren't. I transitioned with a couple of my friends, and they're still really good friends with me. It's just they weren't in the AP classes with me, and I guess I kind of tried to fit in more with them, and I didn't pay as much attention to my studies as I should have. But I mean, after I realized that I could do better, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And I mean, now I realized that I should always give it my all, and that's something I'll carry with me to college.
Right, and AP classes, let's admit it, are not cut out for everybody. But they were cut out for you. How have the AP classes you've taken here at Waco High School prepared you for the next step?
Oh, they taught me responsibility. There was no choice to learn responsibility with that. Like this year, all the calculus homework and stats homework I took, because I took both math this year. And I mean, Mr. Vaughn's an amazing teacher, but you still have to do work outside of the classroom. And after taking those classes, I realized how much you have to put in yourself if you want to get something out of it. And I think that was good preparation for future.
Besides the AP courses and the coursework that you've taken here, what other things have you tried to be involved in at Waco High School?
I'm in National Honor Society. I was the president, and I was also in student council for 2 years. And for the past 3 years, I've been an academic achiever, and I was an academic decathlon.
Very good. Talk a little bit about that acadec. That can be pretty intense too, and a lot of fun, and there's some stiff competition when you go to those tournaments.
Yes, sir, but for the past 2 years, I've had an amazing acadec teacher. She's really energetic. Miss Molds, I mean, if you don't know her, she's that fire. But I mean, yeah, she helped us learn a bunch about the material. Like last year, the topic was, oh man, I already forgot.
That's okay.
The topic, what was the topic? The topic was energy, actually, okay. Yeah. And so we did a lot of science on that. And not only that, we practiced on speeches, on interviews, and I actually got 3rd place in the interview section of the regional meet. Well,
an interview is something you had to do in the Dorothy Crippen Hurd scholarship rounds. Talk about that interview and going in there, and you know what was at stake because you really wanted this scholarship badly, but talk about that interview.
That interview, I mean, to be honest with you, I was honestly kind of nervous when I went in there. I mean, I need the scholarships, you know. Since I'm going to Columbia, that's going to be expensive, and I realized, because the other person that was also interviewing that day was friend Abigail, and then I realized she was extremely smart, extremely qualified, extremely talented, and so I was just a little bit nervous at the beginning.
Now, you mentioned Columbia, and that is your future. You plan to go to Columbia University in New York, and I'm going to ask you why. Why Columbia? A lot of kids haven't even heard of Columbia, much less go there, but you're going to go there.
During the summer, I took a trip to New York with my mom, and I got to go to the campus, and I fell in love with the city. It was beautiful, and the campus is beautiful, and it's also one of the Ivy League schools, and so that falls in with, you know, the prestige and the best of the best, and I've always wanted to try to achieve the best, and I feel Columbia fits there.
Did you look at the other Ivy League schools like Yale and Harvard and those places, or were you pretty set on Columbia having gone there?
Originally, I looked at other Ivy League schools like Harvard and Princeton, but when I visited Columbia, I genuinely liked the school, and that's what made me apply there. That's why I accepted that.
Ask you this, have you determined a major yet?
Political science.
Poli-science, great. Let's look in the future. What do you plan to do as you matriculate through college and maybe go beyond there and get a graduate degree? I mean, what are your goals?
I want to, after I graduate from Columbia, I'd like to go into law school, or I mean, maybe a government school. I ultimately want to be a politician. That's something that greatly interests me, and ultimately I want to be the president. That's something that I've always wanted to be, and that's where I want to end up.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to ask you this: what are you going to campaign on when you start your presidential campaign? I know this is early; you still have a while, but I mean, what would you today campaign on?
Well, today I feel like I most strongly identify with liberal and democratic views. I wouldn't like the recent NSA thing. I'd campaign against that, less surveillance. Mm-hmm. I identify a lot with Bernie Sanders. I think he's a good presidential candidate, and like pro-choice, pro-LGBT rights, and all that. That's mostly what I'd.
Very good. Okay, when you found out that you were the Dorothy Crippen Hurd Scholarship winner, how'd you feel?
It It was amazing. It was truly an honor. I was honestly kind of surprised. Well, not surprised, but you know, just a little shocked because they announced it at the senior awards ceremony at Waco High, and it just caught me by surprise while I was there.
You had to be all smiles. We mentioned, of course, it's named for Dorothy Crippen Hurd, who went to school here, and it was in honor of her by her late husband. So let's talk a little bit about Waco High pride, because that's really, she was proud of Waco High. He knew that and formed this scholarship. So talk about the last 4 years and the pride that you take away from being a part of this school.
I take a lot of pride from this school. I mean, I know all of the best people I know come from here. There, you know, I see tons of academically gifted students here, not just the people in AP, but the people who can draw, who can sing. I see enormous amounts of talent here, and I'm proud to be the valedictorian here.
Very good. In your pastime, I understand that you also work. Talk a little bit about your job right now.
I am an associate manager at Fazoli's Italian Restaurant on Waco Drive, over there by Home Depot. So yeah, I am basically a kitchen manager. I help manage and train the people in the back who cook the food and serve the food.
Now obviously we work to make money, but you have stuck with Fazoli's for almost 2 years. That's very unusual in that some high school students will hop around from job to job. You got there, you stuck with it, and you're still there today. And as you mentioned, as a manager, why did you do that? I mean, are you one that likes to start and finish in one place?
That's exactly it, actually. I feel like, why would I want to start something and then just leave? And I feel like I'd had the greatest chance of moving up if I stayed in one place for a decent amount of time. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, so I wouldn't be able to. I always wanted to be in a position of leadership, and I feel like by staying there, that's how I would achieve that.
That is what I was just going to say, and my follow-up question is about being a leader. And you look like and sound like a person through talking to you who likes to be in leadership positions. Why do you think that is? Just like being in control?
Well, no, I've just found that over time I found that people, I mean, they identify with what I think is a good idea, and I just feel like I'd be suited for that.
Very good. Well, are you excited about leaving for New York? And when do you leave? Are you going to work this summer and then leave in the fall?
I work during the summer until July 6th, and then I will go for a summer camp. Then I'll return on the 4th of August, and I will leave again and stay there on the 31st. And I plan on working until I leave the first time. I'm not sure if I'll work in between.
New York's a long way from Waco, and it's not a place you can just go back and forth. Yeah. So once you're there, you're there. But you sound like the adventurous type. Talk about the excitement that you have in leaving Waco. I know we're leaving a nice city behind, but then going to the big lights of New York.
I'm going alone. I don't really have any family over there, and so I feel like it's a fresh start, you know, new people, new faces. Not that there's anything wrong with the people I've met here, but right. I just feel like there's a huge amount of opportunity there, and that's why I want to go.
There is a tremendous amount of opportunity, and you've taken advantage of the opportunities you've had here. You're the Dorothy Crippen Hurd Scholarship winner for the 2015 year, the valedictorian of the class of 2015 at Waco High School, and I congratulate you, sir.
Thank you.
Once again, it's my pleasure to introduce the 2015 winner of the Dorothy Crippen Hurd Scholarship, Mr. Antonio Najera. This is Dale Caffey reporting from Waco High School, where there are learners today and leaders tomorrow.